Chris Mannix for SI.com alongside 7-year NBA veteran Alexis Ajinka and SI's Rohan Nadkarni. Fellas, break up the Knicks, or at least break up the Knicks before they had bad losses to Oklahoma City and to Denver over the last few days. Still, the Knicks are actually resembling a functioning franchise. Tom Thibodeau has given them a presence on the bench. They've got guys everywhere overachieving. Alexis, what is the ceiling for this year's New York Knicks team?
Oh, I would say this Knicks team is very young, and you can tell those young players are thirsty to win. Tom Thibodeau came in and worked his magic again, just like he did with the Bulls in 2010. So bring those young players, R.J. Barrett, Mitchell Thompson, and also Obi Toppins. But then you also have to add Austin Rivers, that's doing a great season, but also Julius Randle, that's doing a tremendous season so far, averaging 23 points a game, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. That's just amazing. He's doing the best season. And on top of that, they just add Taj Gibson, the OG of the team. I would say the oldest guy probably in this team. And they have a good chance to make the playoffs. So I truly believe they have a good chance in the East Coast to make the playoff because they're playing very good. Tom Thibodeau did a great job with his team, and you can tell they have a great mentality of winning, and that's why he installed in this team. And then I'm excited. I think it's exciting to watch them play.
Yeah, this season has obviously been full of surprises already. The Knicks are right up there. It's a little bit hard to know what's real in the NBA right now, just with all the competing factors. I will say that Tom Thibodeau brings a level of confidence pretty much everywhere he goes. His Bulls teams, while very talented, I think a lot of times overachieved in the regular season, and I think that's what the Knicks are doing on some level right now, just achieving a little bit more of the sum of their parts greater than the individual ones. I still think their ceiling is play-in tournament. I don't think that this is going to be a team that finishes in the top 6 of the East when it's all said and done. I think they're going to be a play-in candidate, and maybe they sneak into the real first round, whatever we want to call that now, but good for them for finally showing signs of life. I do think Tibbs has brought the right mentality to that group. Good for Julius Randle, who's kind of just been on this island in New York for a couple years now. So I think their ceiling, though, is playing.
Look, I agree. The play-in tournament is probably the max level the Knicks can get to. They play really hard. That's what I hear from coaches that have gone up against them early in the season. But they are not as talented as many of the teams in the Eastern Conference. And the guys that are playing great probably aren't going to be able to keep up this pace all season long. I mean, there was a time a few days ago that Julius Randle was shooting better than 40% from 3. He's not going to do that all season long. R.J. Barrett is going to come back down to earth a little bit. You've got Austin Rivers, I think, is going to come back down to earth a little bit. But you know what? I don't care. For the first time in like 2 decades, the Knicks look like a functional franchise. They have a coach that belongs in that position. They have 2 young players that could be really good. I mean, Obi Toppin, even though he hasn't played much to start the season, was widely considered one of the better draft picks inside that top 10. And Emmanuel Quickley has surprised people within New York by his ability to play point guard. So I think they'll probably be in the mix for that play-in tournament. But that is like secondary to the fact that for the first time in a long time, this team looks like a normal, functional franchise. I mean, Alexis, you saw this team over some dysfunctional years in the NBA. What was your perception of the Knicks from afar watching them as a player?
Well, watching them as a player, I remember them with Carmelo Anthony, with the big team that actually at one point he has with J.R. Smith, Tyson Chandler, Raymond Felton. That whole team right here was great. They were actually getting back to where they used to be. And then after that, everything fell apart. So for as a player, when we were going to the Knicks, what we all feared was like the Madison Square Garden. That was about it, and after that, like the players, we never fear nobody because we know like the only pressure we'll get is being on the floor, and that's about it. But like right now, I'm excited because I see that Tom Thibodeau came with a great culture, and I see the guys actually going with him on a lot of different stuff. So I loved it. I love to see all those guys playing better than they used to. Would they come down a little bit? Probably, but I'm pretty confident they will actually battle for the 8th spot.
Ron, you got to love the fact that in a 20-point blowout in the fourth quarter, you've still got Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson at mid to high 30s in minutes out there on the floor. If something's going to derail the Knicks, it's going to be Tibbs being Tibbs, burning out Randle, Barrett, Robinson, Randle and Barrett, both leading the NBA in minutes as we record this. I mean, that to me is my only fear, that these guys get exhausted by the end of the season.
The best and worst thing for the Knicks that Tibbs has found a combination that works and that he likes, because it means that combination is going to play a lot and it's going to be good, but it also means that their minutes are going to be absurd. Shout out to Tibbs in the era of like load management and like playing through a pandemic. Back-to-backs are going to be crazy this year. Nothing can get him to change his aggressive style of rotations. Good for him.
The first night of a back-to-back, and I'm watching Julius Randle on the floor at minute 38 with the Nuggets up like 22 at that point. Wild. Tibbs is gonna Tibbs. For more, check us out over at SI.com.